everyone, it's me Chris here at Body Noble Fitness Coaching, and I'm here to talk to you today about shoulders and shoulder workouts, shoulder exercises, and things like that. Because the shoulders, for those those of us trying to look good, or just even overall strength and things like that, can play a very important role. Okay, if it's a question of looking bigger than we are across the front, having nice round delts can help you do that. Having nice round delts can give the illusion of having a smaller waist when you come down from the shoulders down the sides of a V taper down to the waistline. So shoulders play an important role. And of course, having thickness everywhere. Having strong front delts contribute to upper chest, and strong rear delts contributing to the back, and things like that. We have to get better, or we have to be pretty good at working our shoulders, because there's some tricks there, especially when trying to work rear delt, that you have to keep in mind with the physiology. Okay, I mean the anatomy. The other thing to understand is the shoulder does all of this movement here, okay? All of these movements are primarily done by the shoulder muscle. Now, of course, you got the shoulder joint and girdle and stuff like that, but I just want to talk about working the shoulders, okay? Not the shoulder girdle, which would include traps and upper back muscles and some of the muscles in the neck. You just want the shoulders. Okay, so take you with me in the gym, get a couple exercises in, and I'll tell you a little bit about each exercise that I get in this workout today. Unfortunately for you guys, this is my low volume day, my low volume, high intensity, so I'm not going to get as many exercises in as I would normally, but I'll put some different and unique exercises in. All right, before I got into the exercises, I wanted to kind of simplify the basic movements of the shoulder so that as I'm talking about the exercises, you can follow me, because I hate when some people, they try to do a tutorial and they're assuming that certain baseline information that they know, and they're supposed to be an expert. So I'm not going to dog you out like that. So I'll start off with this. Okay, so think about this. Okay, the shoulders, again, have all these wide range of movements. So for simplicity, let's just say the shoulders have 3 heads, because research is actually showing that they might have more heads. Haven't quite looked at it yet, so I'll have to get back to you on that one. But for simplicity, let's say 3 heads. Okay, so the main one that gives me this roundness of the shoulder, okay, is the medial delt. All right, so as I'm going with the medial delt, that's basically going to bring my arm up in this manner. So any position that my arm is in, where it has to be lifted, that's going to be medial delt kicking in. Even when I'm doing overhead presses, okay? People think that, oh, this was front delt. No, front delt, it will bring the delt across, but you need the middle to hold your arm up in that place from the get-go. So medial delt, no matter what position, medial delt. Front delt will do this. Front delt will do this with the help of the medial delt, but whichever movement that you get, that's the front delt. It's bringing the arm towards the midline or the middle of the body, okay? Bringing it towards the middle of the body. Now, if you get it out wide, because I see some people doing cable crossovers with this, and they start down here, and the arms get really close to the body, well, that's going to be a lot more front delt than it is chest, because the arms are too close to the body. For the chest, they need to be further away from the body, okay? Because the chest brings it horizontally to the midline. Okay, now, the rear delt brings the arm backward. So anytime, from any position you're starting out, if that arm is being pulled backward, that rear delt is working. Even if in some of these cases where there's going to be a little external rotation, okay, rear delt is working. Okay, so now let me get into that internal and external rotation. So this is internal rotation. I'm rotating inward. Just think of it as the elbow is the reference point. They call it anatomical position. Anyway, so internal rotation would be, if you're looking at the elbow, and I'm rotating the elbow or the shoulder inward. Okay, but I'm going to say elbow so you don't get tricked, okay? External rotation, starting here in anatomical position.
rotating backward, but see that elbow is going around the backside. Okay, so external rotation. So there's sometimes, like for example, people are doing lateral raises and it's supposed to be like this, but they want to show how strong they are, and they'll bend the arms and they'll get up to a point with the middle delt and they'll bring it back like that, external rotation, and they can't wonder why their shoulders can't get round. That's why, because they're not doing the movement pure like they're supposed to be doing it. Okay, so, but anyway, recap: medial front, front delt, or anterior delt is it called? Middle delt, any way that this happens, middle delt. Okay, even when pressing overhead, middle delt. Rear delt, rear delt. Okay, internal rotation, external rotation. All right.
Okay, here, I started my workout with some heavy upright rows. I usually have my hands further apart than most people do when they do upright rows, because I'm really trying to hit that medial delt hard, and you'll see the differences in a moment between the two grips. Okay, this is a slightly closer grip. Of course, the closer grip makes you work the traps more, like I said earlier. If you can't tell the difference between the grips, look at the knurling on the bar. On this one, the knurling has disappeared, and on the other one, the knurling is on the inside of my hands. Okay, so I'm comparing these two upright rows side by side so you can see the difference here. So on the left, my hands are further apart. On the right, my hands are closer together. So on the right, it's easier for my elbows to come up higher and get a bigger squeeze on the traps. On the left, my hands are further apart, so my arm is now a longer lever. And because my arm is a longer lever, I can stress my medial delt more. Okay, so now I'm showing you the front raise, and the thing with the front raise, or the anterior delts, or shoulders, are what is working, okay? Anytime that those arms get pulled in front of the body like this, that's the muscles in the shoulder that you're working primarily, okay? So you want to keep the arms close to the body, because if those arms get further away from the body, you're going to work your chest, and that's why I use this neutral grip sometimes. Okay, so with this one, I'm hitting a pronated grip there. The good thing about this is you can get the dumbbells a little bit closer to the middle or the midline of your body much easier, which will allow you to squeeze the front delt a little bit more. Okay, but I want you to see the difference between this one and as I'm using an incline. And with this incline, if you see how these arms hang a little bit behind the body, they're actually hanging hanging behind the body, but you still have tension on the muscle. So you can work the front delt under a little bit more, a longer range of motion. So that'll make the muscle work a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the 1 1/4 dumbbell shoulder press. So what I'm doing is, the hardest part of the range of motion is down at the bottom when you first start the lift. So what I'm doing is I'm making myself working harder in the weakest part of the range of motion, or the hardest part of the lift, which is down at the bottom. So I go 1/4 of the way up, back down, and then I perform a full rep, which is really 1 1/4 rep. So performing the 1/4 rep, then the full rep for this exercise actually constitutes 1 rep. When you're trying to do reverse flies, the thing that you have to understand is there's a certain part of the range of motion is going to be a rear delt exercise, and another part of the range of motion is actually going to be a back exercise. So as you can see, it's rear delt, rear delt, rear delt, then all of a sudden my shoulder blades will dip in, and you will see my back take over on this exercise. So if you're only trying to get those rear delts and really trying to isolate those rear delts, you want to keep those shoulder blades from pinching together, which will make it a back exercise. So you want to cut that short.
Okay.
Okay, I'm doing the face pull. Now the interesting thing about the face pull is it could either be a back exercise or a rear delt exercise. Now I'm hitting this from rear delt, so what the difference is when you're using this exercise for rear delt is you have to be real good at getting your hands as far apart as possible, which is why I'm using a really long
triangle handles, so I can get those hands far apart and hit the rear delt. If those hands hit closer together, you'll be working the upper back muscles, the trapezius and the rhomboids there. So as you can see, this is how I'm working this. I'm not trying to keep the hands close to my face. I'm actually trying to spread them farther apart and get a little bit of external rotation, as you can see there, so I can really get a good contraction on the rear delts. And I'm actually going to hold and squeeze that for a little bit, because those muscles are really hard to hit